Hi everyone, this is Cherry Enchantress on a rainy September 10th. I'm going to do one more, before I get into the compound numbers, and 10 starts with the compound numbers. I'm going to do one more single number, which is the number 0. And it doesn't have its own chapter, it's not in the single number chapter, and it doesn't have its own paragraph or description. But she does mention it, and it's very important. And before I do that, I'll explain some of these little pictures here. 0 vibrates to the planet Pluto, and Scorpio ruling planet is Pluto. And then we have Mickey Mouse and Pluto. Mickey Mouse happens to be an entity. Here's an example of an entity. He's not a real person, right? He's a cartoon, but he was created in November, and I can't remember his exact birthday, but he's a Scorpio. And ironically, and this probably was not on accident, probably on purpose, his best friend and his dog is Pluto, his ruling planet. So I thought that was cute. Mickey Mouse and Pluto have always been sort of near and dear to my heart. Okay, and when Linda Goodman wrote this book, Pluto was a significant planet. It was just as important as all the other planets and considered, valuable. It was considered on the equal plane as humongous Jupiter even. But now we call it a dwarf planet. But I say, whether it's a dwarf planet or not, it's still powerful. And here's a good example of a powerful dwarf. So I had to show a picture of Tyrion Lannister. This dude is a small size, but he's got a lot of power. And a lot of brains, too. And a lot of sarcastic wit, which I admire, too. So, which is very kind of Scorpio, if you think about it. So here's some examples, and I will get to the Fool afterwards, after the little talk. And I'll read to you what I can find in her book about the number 0. It's pretty fascinating. So let's see, where shall we start? 1, 2, 3 are the first numbers man comprehended. He placed a stick on the ground representing himself, or the number 1. Then he placed another stick on the ground representing his mate. Now he had 2 sticks. Then he placed the tip of the 2 sticks representing himself and his mate so that they touched at the top and were separated at the bottom in a tent-like shape. After this, he placed a 3rd stick on the ground horizontally across the bottom representing the child. The total of the 3 sticks then forming a triangle, the oldest known spiritual symbol, Father, Mother, and Logos child. Soon, our slowly comprehending man drew a circle around the 3 sticks to protect himself, his mate, and his child from outsiders or evil. Then he stood the 3 sticks on end, contemplating the circle, and the concept of the first 3-legged stool was born. So there was a triangle, then there was a triangle within the circle, and then the 3-legged stool. For ages, the number 7 has been regarded as a number of mystery, representing the spiritual side of things, whereas the number 9, the end or finality of the series upon which all our materialistic calculations are built, has for an equal number of ages been regarded as a number of electrical energy and all life upon this planet in a material sense. Here we go, here's number 0. The number 0 represents power, which is why it's the number of the planet Pluto, ruler of Scorpio. Since Pluto is the most powerful of all the planets, you hear that? The most powerful. Add 0 to any number, and the more zeros you add, the more powerful the number becomes. From 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000 to 100,000 to 1,000,000, and so on. The number 0 is considered to be the number of eternity, the eternal now, the serpent eating its own tail, positive energy feeding into negative energy. resulting in a third energy, which is both yet neither and all-powerful. It's most significant than Friedrich Kekulé, who made the monumental discovery of the benzene ring structure, which paved the way for the theoretical aspect of organic chemistry, said that he dreamed repeatedly of a snake eating its own tail. Shortly before the concept occurred to him, his higher self was sending him to Morse code message. The number 1 is the first number comprehended by our three-legged stool man. It represents, according to the ancients, the first cause, the creator or God, call it what you like. When you take the number 1 and add the number of eternity, 0, in a figure representing a million or more, then divide it by the mystical number 7, representing the spiritual side of things, you get the number 142857, which has been called from the beginning of time the sacred number. So she does a little diagram how you divide 7 into a million and get that number. And then you add as many zeros as you like and keep dividing by 7 through all of eternity, and you will always get repetitions of the same sacred number. Why is this a sacred number? Because these numbers, when added together, equal the double number 27, compound number, and when you add the 2 and 7 of 27, you end up with 9, the number of electrical energy in all material life on this planet. This is also what is referred to in the Bible, never mind those satanic implications in horror films that try to scare you. In the statement, the 666 is the number of man and the number of beast. Of course it is. 666 adds to 18, and 18 adds to 9, which is the number of all life on earth. So now we go back to the sacred number 142857. Add all those numbers up, and that equals 9, sacred number of eternity. Now just think of that. When you take the number of the first cause or creator, 1, then add the zeros, 0 of power, and divide by 7, the number of mystery, the spiritual side of things, you get the sacred number 142857, which, when added, then produces the number 9, material life. That's the whole story of existence, and that's it. So pretty much, that's where 0 comes into play in her chapter. But I could really go on to the 666, but not right now. I will do that later when I do triple numbers, and I'll explain that later. But anyway, that sort of gives you a little explanation of her take on the number 0, which I find fascinating, and I've always enjoyed that since Pluto is my Scorpio ruling planet, and it resonates with me. All right, and here's the Fool. Okay, so the Fool is 0. The 0, the Fool. And just recently, I was called foolhardy. Well, maybe I am. By doggett, I am foolhardy. Because, listen to this definition, and I don't mind being a fool if this is the definition. New beginnings and adventures, pleasure, passion. She rushes ahead, thoughtless and rash, doing before thinking, obeying instincts. There are unlimited possibilities opening up for the seeker. And I've looked this up other places, and it just means that you just believe in your instinct. You have faith and trust in your intuition and your instincts and your mental power and your ability to know what's ahead even when you're rushing ahead, right? Well, I didn't make any decisions without thinking about it first. So I do always think about I weigh, like a Libra, both sides of an issue, the pros and the cons, to come up with what I think is my choice. And even if sometimes the cons might outweigh, I still might take this chance, because I feel like the way we learn is when we take our risks, and and we might have pain, and we might have disappointments, and we might not fulfill our expectations, but so recently this kind of thing did happen to me. Maybe not all my expectations were fulfilled, but I got so much more out of it than I even expected, So I had a spiritual journey that I was hoping for, and it really did. It really did give me my spiritual journey, which led to this, which led to helping you guys, and I really hope I help you guys. I'm referring to information that I learned a long time ago when I started my spiritual journey, and it's stuff that I feel like can help anybody. It's like timeless. So anyway, number 0, I hope you enjoyed that. I will do number 10 as soon as possible. Hopefully today, later today, right after this. Anyway, enjoy. And faith, trust, pixie dust.